On this episode, if you're the person who's always having a day one over and over again, we're going to teach you how to break that cycle.
All right, what's up, HP?
Holla holla.
Freedom Parents, we're back talking faith,
Summer edition.
family, fitness, and fortune. So today I wanted to really dive into something that we hear a lot, something we felt a lot. I think everyone and anyone that has any kind of goal in life has felt this way at one time or another. And it's the concept of when people take a step back in life or something for whatever reason, the concept of I'm starting over. Now I'm starting over in my health. Now I'm starting over in my business. Now I'm starting over in my relationships. And it always stems from like usually one little slip up, especially like we'll talk into in regards of personal health, because we have coached people in their health and their fitness and nutrition for a very long time now. We've coached ourselves.
Yeah.
That's always fun, coaching yourself. And the thing about especially health, right, is that there's what people think is perfection doesn't actually exist. First of all, we talked about the idea of perfection, and that just it annoys me so much, probably because I am a recovering perfectionist. And I have realized that really what humans think is perfection is their perception of the way they think things are or should be. And so we are constantly either falling short of our perception of what we think we should be doing or how doing it, or what we think how others are doing it that are further along than us. So we work with people a lot when they're losing weight or getting healthy or in their businesses, and something happens for one reason or another. You know, they eat more than just one meal off their plan. They gain some weight back. They end up getting off track for months or something at a time sometimes. And they have a wake up call one day for whatever reason, right? And then they're like, oh my God, how did I let myself get here? You know? How did I let myself get to the point where I was doing so good, and now here I am, and I've put X amount of pounds on, or my business is backslid, and you feel deflated. And there's the conflict between, I know I should keep going, but I'm so disappointed in myself that I feel like I should just give up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that whole perfection, and it turns into the trap of tomorrow. And it's like, oh, I'm going to throw the towel in and I'll restart tomorrow. And then I'll restart next week. Or I'll restart January 1st.
Mm-hmm, right?
Like the whole population.
And then that day never comes.
And that day never comes, or it's over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And that's why I haven't read it yet, but just a little plug, not that he needs our plug, but that I'm really interested because I heard him speak, but Ed Milet's book, and I heard him speak, and it was about just one more day. And he told it, or I think is it one more? Power of one more. But what he was talking about when I heard him in Texas speak, and it was pretty cool front stage, and he was like he was looking in my soul when he'd stand in front of me. He's really good at connecting. But his dad was an alcoholic, and he had tried to quit many, many times for decades. And he told some traumatic situations and stories that was like his dad, how he acted in public, from headbutting somebody in church and knocking them out. And like, It was pretty crazy. Yeah. So finally something traumatic happened. I think his mom might have took them and said they were leaving. And his dad said, I'm going to quit. And he said, again, basically someone said, and he goes, just for one day, just for like one day at a time. Basically it was one more day. And then you get through that day and it was one more day, and you get through that day and it was one more day. And I recently actually did that when I was dialing in my nutrition, and I said, hey, I just want to do a quick little like rip lean kind of thing. So I dialed in some calories kind of low, and I said no alcohol. And I'm not a huge drinker, but I'll partake in a cocktail here and there. But it's interesting when you put that on the shelf, when how often you realize you do drink. But I kept going one more day, and one more day turned into 17 days, and one more day turned into 25 days, and one more day turned into 27 days. And I think that's when I went to Texas and ended up breaking it. But it was a conscious decision to break it because I was like, 27 days. But it was that one more day type of philosophy.
Yeah.
That type of view,
Mm-hmm.
and not just throwing in the towel if I would have went off. You know what I'm saying? So anyway.
Absolutely. I think so the whole idea of people saying, oh, no, I'm starting over. It frustrates me. One, I felt this way too, but in reality, as a coach too, through helping other people, it's given me so much. I've been so blessed through this experience, as you have too, because I realize through my own walk and then walking people through their journeys as well, is that you're never starting over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're never really starting over, because no one can discredit you for what you've already accomplished except for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one can take the knowledge that you gained through that process. Nobody can take even the accomplishment, even if you don't sit here today at the height of your accomplishment and whatever you were working on, no one can take from you that you did it.
Well, think of how debilitating it is to have that thought that who wants to restart all the time?
Mm.
Like to think to start over, like just to think how
day
heavy.
One again.
Well, think how heavy that is, like mentally,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just the thought of that, as opposed to, I think what we replace it with is just to say you're just continuing. You're just continuing. So instead of like, let's say you're supposed to eat 6, like we're going to go nutrition because that's our background. That's what we deal with. You could apply this to anything, but say you're supposed to eat 5 or 6 healthy meals in a day. That's to support your goals. And you eat 1 good, 2 good, 3 good, 4th good. You get to the 5th one and you don't. It's not, oh, I'll start again tomorrow. It's not, oh, I'll start again on Monday after the weekend, because that's getting you what you got in your whole life. It's to say, oh, you know what? I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. I screwed up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's continue on the 6th meal.
Yes.
It's,
oh my gosh,
and then it's continue. You get what I'm saying? That's the game changer. And then collectively over time, then you start collecting wins.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start collecting wins, you start gaining confidence. And then over time, it's like the book Atomic Habits, which some people think Atomic Habits means like this big habit, like atomic bomb type of thing. But really, the author talks about atoms, not how small they are,
mm-hmm.
but how powerful they can be. And especially when they're working all together. So you think of atomic habits, it's just these little bitty consistency things, habits adding up over time. So the point of the meals, it's check, 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 check. Oh, went off. No, don't start over. Continue on the next meal. And those things add up. So then when you're eating 40, so you have 40 good meals in a week and you ate 35 good and 5 not so good, you're winning.
Yeah.
But the person who would have started again for New Year's 3 months later,
yeah,
or it's a Friday and I'll start again on Monday,
mm-hmm.
you're now 12 meals in the lose versus the win. It's just math.
Yeah. Well, and actually back to that point too, that you mentioned with, it's like you have one thing off and then people want to act like the whole day is ruined.
Yeah.
But that's where you're defeating yourself. But if you can actually just begin to just stop yourself in the midst of those bad habits, which you've created over time. So really, it's almost very predictable to say for anyone when they're starting to create new habits in their health or business or relationships, you will stumble.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to stumble. It's not even really a failure unless you decide you quit. But if you were to stop, that's what I had to start coaching myself on, was because I have had a history with binging and exercise anorexia and some terrible, terrible habits. And you didn't know it, because no one ever knows when someone initially has a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hide it, you get really good at hiding it. So it was a real problem for me. And I very much was the person who would take, let's just say I cooked brownies for the kids, who would eat a little piece of a brownie and be so incredibly hard on myself to the point of like, you just failed. Like, how could you be so weak? Like all the terrible negative self-talk. And then it'd be the next thought was always in my head. I remember clear as day. I don't care. I would try to convince myself I didn't care. And then I would end up eating way, way, way more than I, really wanted to because of the whole self-defeating pattern I was in, versus just stopping and be like, okay, cool. I mean, I had a little bit of a brownie. Like, we give some things way too much energy and power, and we allow that negativity, that cycle to just completely like destroy the pattern, the good pattern that we're on. When in reality, if we just be like, no, of course I stumbled. Okay. But I'm getting back on track immediately, just like you said. And it really is just a rewiring of the brain. Like it's
those neural pathways.
Yes. And Caroline Leaf, I love her and her books and all her things. She talks about it in a way that is just so easy for people to understand.
But that's a neural pathway that you've built. That's probably not you, but whoever, does this, which is most people, is this pathway that's your pattern, is to start over. Like it's to, in our example of the nutrition, it's Friday, start again on Monday because I went off on one meal, or I'll start again tomorrow. That's a neural pathway that's very strong. It's like a deep rut in a road. And you think about a rut in the road, right? This is when habits get really, really, really hard to break. Is a rut in the road is like in the old country roads where we come from. A rut would be like, think of a rut so deep that if you get your tires in it and you turn the wheel, it's kind of like you're on a train track. You can't turn the wheel, like you're stuck in a rut. And it literally you just push the gas and it's going to stay and guide and go in that direction that the rut takes you, right? Well, it's kind of like your habits and the neural pathways. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of force, if you ever driven in a rut in the old dirt road, to get out of it. Like you really have to apply force, awareness, and get out of that rut. It takes a lot of energy to break that, but then you can create a new path and a new neural pathway. So I think a lot of people, they give up too easily and they don't realize that they're just operating in this rut of a neural pathway, and you just got to create a new one. But you do that through what we're saying.
Through challenging all your conditioned habits.
Challenging all your conditioned habits and continuing, not starting over. Like abandon the whole start over. Because it's mentally debilitating. And then you said something about the other thing is perfection. So there's a book called, I think it's The Gap and the Gain. And we have this ideal, which is perfection in anything. Like you could rent a VRBO and going on a vacation. And I don't know about you, but I have in my head of what it looks like, what it smells like what's it going to be. That's the ideal, right? And then we get there, we're either going to be disappointed.
Well, we've had that experience
or we're going to
recently.
be, right? Yeah. So, but that's perfectionism. That's the ideal, and an ideal is never going to be met. The ideal means if you had everything was everything was exactly the way it's supposed to be. And it's okay to have an ideal, but it's also to understand that you'll never meet the ideal.
Yeah.
And you focus on the gains that you're creating
because it's everything
over time.
Exactly as you want it to be.
Yeah. Because the goalpost is always moving.
Yeah.
For most people. Like once you get to that level, the goalpost is always moving. So you'll never hit the ideal because just when you get close, you've moved it. And just when you start to get close, you start to move it. And that could be in your health, in your wealth, in your relationships, whatever it may be.
So really, there is no starting over, and no one can discredit you and what you've accomplished except for you.
Yeah. So just go with the mantra of continue. Replace start over with continue. And I think you'll start to create new neural pathways, and you'll see results for sure.
Because you deserve to live the life you desire, right?
That's right.
All right, friends, go create your new American dream.